Let's be real for a second. The more you try to be liked, the more you lose yourself. You say yes when you want to say no. You laugh at jokes that make your skin crawl. Why? Because somewhere along the way, you were told that being accepted is everything. But here's the brutal truth. The more you chase approval, the more you blur your identity. Until one day, you're not even sure who's smiling in the mirror. That's not just sad, that's dangerous. And today, we're going to talk about why. Not through cliches, but through the brutal lens of a man who didn't flinch in the face of truth. Niccolo Machiavelli. This isn't a self-help video. This is a wake-up call. Let's begin. Let's make something clear up front. The more you crave being liked, the more you hand over control of your mind. Every time you chase approval, you take a small step away from who you really are. You smile when you're uneasy. You nod when you disagree. You say yes, just to avoid being that person, the one who makes things awkward. And each time you do that, something in you gets quieter. Your instincts, silenced. Your ideas, filtered. Your edge, sanded down to fit the shape of whatever room you're in. And here's the catch. Everyone applauds you for it. They say, you're so easy to be around. But what they really mean is, you're easy to control. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He wasn't preaching kindness or conformity. He studied power and told the truth no one wanted to hear. He said the herd doesn't want you to be free. It wants you to obey, to blend in, to play your role and not ask questions, to be agreeable, not honest. And the more you socialize just to be liked, the more you dilute your intelligence. Not because you're not smart, but because you're adapting, shrinking, shape-shifting just to stay in the tribe. That's not social success. That's self-erasure. And the worst part, you don't even notice it happening because the mask becomes comfortable. The applause becomes addictive. And before long, you're performing instead of living. So now let's talk about what that does to your mind when the performance never ends. Ready? Let's keep going. You ever wonder why you feel drained after a party? Why your chest feels tight even when everyone around you's smiling? Why in the middle of the crowd you suddenly feel alone? It's not anxiety. It's not introversion. It's something deeper. It's mental exhaustion from constantly performing. You've been smiling through discomfort, agreeing just to avoid tension, holding back your real thoughts because you're afraid they might not land well. And over time, that constant suppression becomes your default. You start doubting your gut. You start second-guessing your words. You start asking, what do they want to hear? Instead of, what do I believe? That right there is how clarity dies. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's slow. Like static in your thoughts, like fog in your head, like a voice that used to be yours but now only whispers when no one's around. And every forced laugh, every fake compliment, every silence you bite down on, it all stacks up. Brick by brick, you're building a prison from the inside. From the outside, it looks like popularity, but inside, it's quiet decay. And here's what no one tells you. Once you trade truth for acceptance, you don't get either. Because they're not applauding you. They're applauding the mask. But sometimes, if you're lucky, that whisper inside you starts to fight back. It gets louder. And suddenly the mask feels heavy. The party feels fake. And you start asking, what if I stop pretending? That's the moment everything shifts. So let's talk about what happens when you finally stop chasing approval and start reclaiming your mind. Let's move forward. When you stop performing, something strange happens. People pull back. They say, you've changed. You're cold now. You're too intense. But here's the truth. They're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the loss of control they once had over you because you're no longer bending. No longer nodding just to keep the peace. You've stopped editing yourself for their comfort, and that makes them uncomfortable. But you start to feel something else. Clarity. You wake up without that weight on your chest. You speak without needing a script. You think without waiting for permission. This is what Machiavelli meant by real power, not control over others, but control over yourself. When your mind becomes sovereign, you stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what is true? You don't vanish from the world. You show up differently, sharper, still. Unapologetically you. You stop trying to fit in. And ironically, people start noticing you more. Not because you're louder, but because you're not trying. That's the paradox. The less you need validation, the more powerful your presence becomes. You move through rooms without chasing attention. Your silence becomes more unsettling than noise, not because you're rude, but because you're real. You've stopped being digestible and started being undeniable. Will you go back to the comfort of performance, or will you keep walking into this solitude, this raw, quiet power? Because the next step is everything. Let's close it out. This is the fracture point. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every fake laugh will make your skin crawl. Every shallow conversation will feel like noise. And every time someone tells you to lighten up, you'll hear what they're really saying. Go back to being easy to control, but you won't, because you've chosen something rare. Not charm, not charisma, clarity, and clarity comes at a price. Fewer people, more silence, more solitude, but it also brings peace. The kind of peace that doesn't wobble when you're alone. The kind of strength that doesn't need applause. The kind of presence that doesn't need permission. You've stopped being sociable. You've started being sovereign, and that changes everything. So here's your call to action. If this hit something inside you, if you felt that friction, that tension, that silent yes in your gut, then don't let it fade. Comment below with just one word: sovereign. That's it. Let me know you're out there, awake, aware, and done pretending. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because this channel isn't for the crowd. It's for the ones waking up in the quiet, choosing clarity over comfort. Welcome to the other side. Welcome to yourself.